make way for ESPN senior NBA insider, host of the Woj podcast, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, thanks for joining us. Can you explain what the Supermax rules are? Was there any kind of leverage, or like Luka was getting $207 million no matter what?
That's right, Dan. And what's different about Luka's Supermax off of his rookie extension, that you've seen other rookie extensions and you see the $207 million number, or 202 last year, or 195, based on where the salary cap is. He's the first player to sign this deal who's already fulfilled the requirements to get the Supermax. So you have to make All NBA or win MVP. I think it's All NBA, MVP, or maybe even Defensive Player of the Year. Any combination of those in 2 out of 3 years earns you that 30% of the cap, which takes you from essentially 175 to 207. So Luka's the first one to sign this deal, having already been All NBA twice. Other great young players, Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, they can earn that $200 million in their deal if they become All NBA twice. Luka's the first one who's already done it at 22 years old twice before he signed the contract.
Why did everybody jump on Mark Cuban's jet and go to Slovenia for the signing, including Jason Kidd? If it's a foregone conclusion, did they have to massage him a little bit, nurture him a little bit here?
I think it's just a sign of respect of what he means to that organization, that they would come and do it collectively and, formally present it to him. There was going to be a press conference later today in Slovenia, but I think it's just because of who he is, what he means to the organization. We're not going to do anything but be buttoned up, come see you, present it, tell you what you mean to us, and have him sign the contract.
I wonder, and as many people as you talk to, can the Mavs build a championship team around Luka? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, that you certainly can build one around him. There's no question this is a future MVP in the league, probably multiple MVPs before he's done. Listen, I think the progress of Kristaps Porzingis and his health, I think mentally, embracing that role alongside Luka, how this goes now with Jason Kidd, those are going to be really important factors. And they traded for Porzingis with the idea that this was going to be, a legit number 2 co-star. And health has played a lot of has been a lot of the factor of why he's not been as effective. They need him to get healthy, but certainly they need more. They're not there yet. They've been knocked out in the first round twice by the Clippers. But Luka's 22 years old, and we can look at the progression of other great players in the league. Giannis, the struggles he went through, finally winning it at 26, right, this year.
Yeah.
So it's not probably next year. It's not the year after. I think we see how these things evolve. It is rare that you're going to win a title with your best player at 22, 23, 24, even when it's someone of the talent of Luka Doncic.
Are the Lakers done with moves?
Well, I think certainly significant moves. I think there's still some room to add another veteran minimum player to their roster. But this is largely the team they'll have, and you saw them go out in free agency because of the Westbrook trade and trading essentially 3-for-1 in that deal, losing Caruso to the Bulls. They had to fill out their roster, and you kind of saw a combination of some players who had been there before, older. They get a couple 4 men, and Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza come there. Dwight Howard comes back as a center for them, and then a couple younger guards. Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn comes from Miami. So, when you're the Lakers, you can get some guys to take that veteran minimum deal. Who might be able to make a little bit more elsewhere. But you go there on a 1-year deal, you have a chance to win a championship, you can increase your value. And I think that's what a couple of those guys are counting on.
What do you think the league reaction is to what the Lakers did?
Listen, I think the people know that the Lakers, were formidable last year. They'll be formidable again. Health is going to play a big part in this, and regardless of the role players around their stars, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, listen, health played a huge part in why that team got knocked out. And they lost to a very good Phoenix team. And who knows, maybe at full strength, Phoenix still wins that series. We won't know. But certainly LeBron now, past, I think he'll be 37, right, in the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis coming off of a significant injury. Keeping those guys healthy is, you saw it last year in the postseason, and you saw the teams, Milwaukee, for the most part, was able to stay healthy. They did lose DiVincenzo. Health played a huge factor, I think, when there was just such attrition around the league coming off of in that condensed schedule. And I'm sure that'll be the case next year. But this is an LA team, especially because of LeBron's age. You've got to go for it every year. And now they bring in Russell Westbrook, who, is going to bring a lot to that team. They still have to surround that group with shooting. That's not what Russ does. Russ is not going to be a catch-and-shoot guy when the double teams, when LeBron kicks it out. Russ is going to still attack the rim. And so it's a different dynamic for them.
What about Dennis Schroeder, who turned down that extension, and now there's a report this morning that maybe he'll sign with the Celtics? Could the Lakers have done a sign and trade with him to get something in return?
They could do one if that interested them. They have the ability. I've not sensed that's been something for them because remember, somebody else has to want to give up something of value, and I think teams. There's teams who can sign Schroeder, probably not certainly at the number that he could have had with the Lakers. But I haven't gotten the sense since free agency's really gotten rolling that there have been a lot of sign and trade scenarios. Again, if the Lakers are going to take somebody on and they're in the tax, and remember that player is going to cost them exponentially more because of the tax bill, you've got to think that the guy whose contract is probably going to be 2 or 3 times what he makes on your tax bill, is that worth taking on? And again, teams I don't think they feel like they've got to give up something of great quality to bring in Dennis Schroeder now. They can sign him if they have their mid-level exception, that taxpayer mid-level, which is around $6 million. They can sign him to that.
Is there any chance that an owner could just say, I don't care about the tax ramifications? Like Steve Ballmer has how many billions and billions of dollars that, like the Yankees, they just said, we don't care what the luxury tax is. Could you see an NBA owner going rogue and just saying, hey, go, I'll pay it. But I blow through the stop sign.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, Golden State's tax bill has been enormous. I mean, they brought in Kelly Oubre last year, and his salary, I think he cost them, I'm trying to remember, just Oubre's salary was over, I think, $50 million when you put the tax. That's commitment. That's a lot of money for Kelly Oubre in a year where you're not going to win the title without Klay Thompson last year. Listen, Brooklyn's tax bill is going to be enormous. The Lakers are going to be in it, and Steve Ballmer and with the Clippers once they re-sign Kawhi Leonard. So I think teams have gone significantly in it. If you remember Prokhorov in Brooklyn early on with the Nets, they didn't have success. It was no object to them. So I think we've seen it. I guess it's all relative to, how astronomical it goes. But there comes a point where you're locked in by the cap, where you just can't. You can't just keep adding big salaries. You're essentially the cap doesn't work necessarily that way, where you get locked in at certain slots, and so you're just paying a ton of tax for a guy making 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 million. That doesn't mean he's a great player and it makes any sense to do it.
Did you trademark Woj?
No, not that I know of.
You should probably do it today.
Why? Is something happening?
Well, I don't know. I just think you just go with one name. I think you've earned that. Sting, Prince, Madonna, Woj.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it in that grouping, but yeah, that's something I'll check into this afternoon, Dan. Not a bad idea.
Okay, not this morning, but this afternoon you will.
That's right, after lunch.
And trademark Woj Bomb too.
Well, there you go. Okay. I hadn't thought of any of these things. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Woj. That's
Be well. Take care.
Adrian Wojnarowski. I'm just helping out. That's all.